You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's version of the Weekly Business Hour. Thank you for taking time to stop by and listen to the show, whether you're listening live or on one of our video podcasts. We appreciate it. I think we've lined up a wonderful show today. We've got a live guest with us again, finishing out our soup to nuts conversation with us this week. Chris Wehe of the Koch Insurance Group is here. We're going to finish our soup to nuts conversation on everything you need to know about commercial insurance for your business. Also have a great interview, I think, that I did this past week with Elizabeth Greever, EverSan Cooper. She's an investor. She does a lot in our community, and she started a series called The Inspired Leaders. It's a speaker series that she personally puts on once a month, and boy, it draws a crowd, standing room only, on most Fridays when the event takes place. So we're going to interview her, and then I also have my tip of the week talking about family businesses. So I hope you'll stay with us. Now, at this point, I want to mention to you before I forget, the show is broadcast live on Facebook. So if you're a fan of Facebook Live, I encourage you, go to Facebook, go to the Weekly Business Hour, and click on the button, and you can watch as well as listen to the show live on Facebook. Also want to note our sponsor for today's show is One. That's the number one, bestconsult.com. That's a business I've founded. Purpose of it is to communicate with small business people, create kind of a peer group where we talk about common sense business advice. We help each other. I'm also available as a mentor advisor for your business. So I encourage you, visit the website if you're looking for common sense business advice. Go to number one, bestconsult.com. And at this point in the show, it's simple. If you've listened before, you understand. Sit back, grab a pad, grab a pencil pen, however you record notes, and get ready to take notes on the Weekly Business Hour. We're the business show here in Montgomery County, Texas, talking about everything business, not only here, but around the world. And during the show, if you have a comment, hear something you want to get in on the conversation, comment about the show, or even ask a question about your own business, you're always free to email me at rick@irlonestar.com. So without further ado, we've got a lot of things to wrap up our soup to nuts conversation about business insurance. It's a huge topic. It's a very powerful thing in every business, what to do about insurance. So without further ado, Chris Wehe, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be back again. Thank you.
You know, Chris, one of the things I noticed when I was listening to our two previous conversations is that we really never talked too much about you and why you got in the insurance business, what your background is. And when people listen or do business with somebody, they kind of want to know what they're all about. Help us a little bit this morning, if you don't mind starting off that way. Tell us a little bit about your background personally and why you got in the insurance business.
Well, thanks, Rick. I've been doing commercial insurance for about 5 years now. Been in insurance for about 6, and I really enjoy commercial because every business is different. Why they're in business, what they're doing. We insure all sorts of businesses. I've insured axe-throwing businesses, cave cleaning businesses, so you get to see a lot of these businesses start out. And one of the things that I really enjoy is watching a business grow. And we do a lot of startup businesses, and then as they get bigger, they start hiring staff, they start increasing, production or branching out, getting bigger contracts, and we like to see that. We like to see them, we try to help them out in the beginning to give them something inexpensive because we understand that cash flow is really important and insurance is an expense, and if we can start them out something low just to get them going, and then as they get bigger, add additional lines as they need it. So watching a business grow over time is something that I find very rewarding, and being able to help them with what I do. I have lots of connections and lots of network where I can put people in touch with attorneys and marketing people and search web searches and anything that a small business might need, accounting, CPAs, that I can put them in touch that will help them with their business. Where I'm a big believer in letting the business owner work on the business instead of in the business, and being able to focus on increasing sales and not worrying about administrative duties, insurance included. The easier we can make it on a small business, the better it is for everybody.
One of the things, and this is kind of a side comment, but I think it's important for any business. You do a lot of wonderful networking. When I say wonderful networking, you're connected with networking groups. You just don't show up at an event. And you've built quite a network through professional networking groups such as BNI, NAI, and so on and so forth. How important, is that to you creating new business for you and your firm?
I would say 90% of our business is based on referrals. When I network and when I connect with other people, I'm always looking to not only obviously get them a client, but get them somebody who can get them clients, whether that business is personal fitness, if there's people I can connect them to that can get them access to clients. That's it. That's helping everybody. That's helping my client get their business bigger. It also helps people in my network, and it does with insurance. If everybody around me is more successful, then I'm going to be more successful just by osmosis.
Well, and it does. That's a win-win formula. It's a formula I try to encourage all my clients, people I work with, is to build that relationship and build those networks. And getting back now to our main topic, business insurance, commercial insurance, relationships. The big discussion on insurance for small businesses: do I have it? Do I need it? And we've talked about that, but I want to go back and take a couple of thoughts and maybe that we've talked about, because I think they're real important for people to get. And one of them is building relationships with your insurance, not only your insurance agent, but your insurance carrier. So in other words, when you take on insurance, it's just not buying at the lowest price. It's building a relationship, because at some point, if you build a business, you're going to need some help with your insurance. So if you've got a relationship, talk to us a little bit about how to build a relationship with our carriers, the people that actually provide the insurance that you sell as an agent.
Well, you're right. That's very important, and the biggest thing that we find with a good relationship with the carrier is staying with the carrier. Yes, premiums increase, but staying with the same carrier over a longer period of time helps with that particular carrier. And there could be a point where we do need to move you to another carrier for price reasons, or a lot of times carriers will not want to do that type of insurance anymore, and they get out of it, and we have to find another carrier. And if you have a consistent relationship with your carrier, it goes a long way towards keeping the premiums down. And insurance companies look at that, and they want to see that history, that consistent history. If they see you moving from carrier to carrier every year to save a few bucks, that's going to affect your premium when you move again, to the point where there are carriers that will not write people that don't have big gaps in their insurance or move year to year just to save a few dollars. It's also being able to package it together. It's a lot like home and auto. Everybody says package your home and auto insurance because it'll save you money. It's no different for business insurance. Being able to have multiple lines with the same carrier, if you can go a long way to saving money. And when you do have a claim, if you've been with that carrier a while, that goes a long way to getting it paid quickly. If there's any gray area, that we can go to bat for our client to get the carrier to pay the claim.
I often think about it is if, for example, as you mentioned, people hopping or chasing price or whatever causes them to constantly move. If I'm a carrier, I look at that track record, because we look at the track record when we're going to write a new policy as a carrier. And somebody that's hopping around, I've got to think, okay, what's their mindset for running their business, which relates directly to the risk. How are they internally managing the risk that I'm covering? Mm-hmm. And someone who is chasing the dollar and that's it, most likely doesn't have the mindset to manage their business in the safest possible way or reduce the risk I have. Do you ever come across that or feel?
Yes, it happens. It does. Unfortunately, it does happen a lot. And also chasing price, sometimes you can get connected to an insurance carrier that is financial rating isn't where it should be. We only use A-rated or higher carriers, and there's carriers lower than that out there that may offer somewhat of a lower premium. But if you have a claim, the claim usually is more difficult to get paid because they're more worried about their financial assets and more about their financials than an A-rated carrier who has a certain level of cash on hand and can pay claims better. And so that goes a long way to the relationship we have with our carriers and our clients. That's why we don't use anything lower than an A-rated. Yes, there may be a little bit of premium, but the policy may not cover as much. They may nickel and dime you more often if there's an issue, and it's not a beneficial relationship with our clients or the carrier.
And I'm going to make a comment because anyone who's listening to this that is in business, the primary reason we carry insurance in business that I'm aware of is that we want it there in case we have a loss. Okay, it's to cover that risk. And the fact that I'm buying the cheapest insurance or hopping around, I'm really gradually losing sight of the primary reason. I want somebody who's going to step up and is going to pay a claim when and if. And ultimately, if you're in business 20, 30 years, whatever your time horizon, you're going to have a claim here or there. It's the nature of being aggressive and growing your business. And people are very short-sighted that just look at one side of that equation. They got to think about, is that going to...
And I run across this a lot with contractors, is I have to compete with contractors that don't have insurance.